Well, I'm back at Enton, one of my favourite venues. Everyone's probably thinking, oh, here we go again, it's another cruising video, but you can probably tell it's earlier in the season. It's, you know, the blossoms on the tree, the daffodils are still about, there's frost on the ground some mornings, and the crusions haven't woken up. The tench are slowly beginning to show, so this is more about catching a couple of early season tench. I'm going to be fishing two different methods, contrasting methods, ones you've seen before, but I'm trying at this time of year just to buy a bite or two, ring the changes, red maggot, white maggot, plastic, etc, etc. One clipped up trying to build a little area, one just trying to be cast around to find an opportunist fish. So I'll go through the rigs and the bait, and hopefully during the course of the day we'll catch a fish or two, but as you can see by the sun, it's not going to be easy. I'll just run through the first rig I'm using. If you want to see more, go to the bream video at Bad Shot Lee that I did last year. It explains everything in more detail. It's also known as the FTO rig. But what it is just a couple of float stops trapping a small hook link about the length of your finger. The hook there is a size 16 Super Specialist micro barb. Check your handbook of your permit. A lot of clubs allow a micro barbed on a smaller hook, a 16 or smaller, so use it to your advantage, because obviously if you've got a barbless there, by the time you get to the rod sometimes they've shaken the hook. And I've tied the actual hook on using like a knotless knot style and just cut the actual length of line off, because you see all the carp anglers trying to get this acute angle, you know, that just give good hooking property. So why not actually do it just scaled down a lot more? A small little boom there just creates an anti-tangle rig, and another little kind of hint is if you're getting a lot of beep 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 beep, like lots of little bleeps and not hookups, just change the feeder to a heavier feeder. It's just a little bit more that they can't get away with, and it just pulls the hook home. So lots of, you know, little things you can do with this. You can change your bait to red maggot, white maggot like I'm doing today, and if the fish are kind of seen this rig quite a bit, you know they're in your swim, but you're not getting as many fish as you'd like, just move that hook length, you know, 12 inches away from the feeder. A lot of the fish don't want to come down on the feeder, and you know, because they've been caught and hooked close to it. So by placing an actual hook link further away sometimes can work better for you. So, you know, change your hook baits, change the distance away from the feeder, and keep casting, and you should catch fish eventually. It might take a bit of time to build a swim, especially on a day like today, early on in the spring, but it's one of those rigs that is my take anywhere rig for pretty much every species. Well, I've shown you the helicopter rig, and the pellet cone really needs no introduction, but I'll just run through it very quickly. Again, I'm using my little scope rods, 6-pound mainline. First thing on the mainline is a little float stop. That acts as a bolt rig, so I've got a lead that's running, hits the bolt, as the fish tips up, normally drags the actual hook straight into the bottom lip. I normally start with an ounce lead, a 1.1 ounce lead. Again, if I feel I need a heavier lead to improve the hooking properties, I'll go up to a 1.5. A little quick change bead, and then the hook link again is Reflow 514. It's again the length of my finger, and down here, as always, size 16 micro barb Super Specialist hook, and just a small plastic caster here. You can use a white one, an orange one, whatever you feel works on the day. I'm putting some red maggot out in my helicopter rig, so it seems a sensible option to use a little red caster. And I don't even put a bait stop in there, because where the knot is, where I've tied the loop, it just holds that actual caster on, and that's it. And then simply, if you want to just put the pellet cone, you just get the small cone, compress some 2mm pellets in there. What I've done with these pellets is I've put a little bit of hemp oil in. I actually boiled some hemp and I used the water to dampen down the pellets. Tench absolutely adore hemp. They can get preoccupied on the actual little particles, but I actually use just the actual, you know, water afterwards. It's just a great attractor. And then simple baiting needle through the pellet cone, get your hook link, you got the loop on the end, attach, pull the hook link right the way through, place the actual hook point into the actual bait. Remember to pop the cone out. If you cast it out, you've lost your cone, and I know somebody who's done that, or knew a few people who's done that. And then just pick up your hooklet, your main line with your quick change bead, attach, compress, and there you have it, cast it out. Absolutely brilliant. Just casting here and there. I'm not clipped up today, I'm just trying to cast out, land this in the vicinity of a hungry fish, one that's just woken up in the spring and wants a food. So no clipping up on this one, I'm just looking for an opportunist fish. At long last we're into a fish. It's been taken about an hour actually. I've got one rod out on the pellet cone and plastic in the hope of an early season crucian, but it will be an outside chance, and one really fishing for tench on the helicopter rig, and it's actually the pellet cone that's actually gone, so that's quite surprising, but this certainly isn't a crucian. It's a tench, I would say, or a carp. Proper screaming run. Well, there you have it. We've been here about an hour. Been making quite regular casts, just one with a pellet cone and a bit of plastic in the hope of an early season crucian, and the other one on the helicopter rig, which I was hoping more for a few tench that have been showing, and actually it was the pellet cone that actually went first with this hard fighting male that took me probably a good 6 or 7 minutes to land. Don't know, it's probably about £5 I would think. Great big tow on there, powerful fish on light tackle and balance kit. As I say, the conditions are really not good. You pick your day, you come, and I'm hedging my bets, trying a few different tactics, white maggot, red maggot, plastic, corn, you name it, but eventually one's just ripped off, and we're here for a few more hours. Hopefully this will be the first of a few.
Is that another fish?
Well, I'm into my second fish of the morning. Feels like another tench, and again it's come on the pellet cone. I've actually tied a new rig, a new hook link on the helicopter rig, because I haven't had a bite on that, which is very strange. I was expecting more bites to come on the helicopter rig. So if you ever have a feeling that, you know, one rod's not doing enough, you've got to change things. Even if it's a hook link, it might just not be working correctly for, you know, or acting correctly for the fish. So you just got to keep changing things around until you start catching some fish. This fish absolutely ripped a load of line off. It came whilst I was casting the other rod out, which sort of took me a bit by surprise. Fish number 2. Not as big as the first one, but...
Is that a fish?
Yeah. Well, as you can see, I've sat here for one fishing in about 2 hours, and I've got one in the net and another one on. I've literally just changed my hook link on this helicopter rig. It's been out there 10 minutes and it's gone off. A guy up the bank's had a couple of tench, and I'm sitting here thinking this rod should be working, and it's not. Something's not right. Hook link change, straight into a fish. Lesson learnt there for everyone. Oh, you're not happy? Well, there you have it. I've been sitting there for about 2 hours now, had a fish after an hour, and then two come along at once. One on the pellet cone and plastic, and this slightly bigger one came along after I'd changed the hook link on the helicopter rig, because I just thought it had to be happening, and sometimes something might not be right with your hook link. It just, the fish might be able to come along and it might just not be sitting on the bottom properly. And I literally changed the hook link. We'll soon see whether it was the change that made the difference, because I've just cast the rod out again. But literally 10 minutes and straight away we caught a tench on it. So happy days. Hopefully there's going to be a few more later. Just whether you... Oh, there she goes. Right. Well, again, I've just changed my hook link on the heli rig, straight away at a tench, and I'm away again. Initially I thought this could be a big crucian because it wasn't doing anything, but it's just started to feel a lot heavier. And then
Lovely.
Well, there you have it, tench number 4. I'm not coming thick and fast at the moment, but all the time this cloud cover is slowly coming over. The bites are certainly picked up. I've had 2 on the cone now and 2 on the helicopter rig, so but 2 on the helicopter rig since I changed that hook link. So it just you know, you've got to get the other rod working if you think it should be. So again, not the biggest tench, probably 4.5 pound. So but a beautiful coloured fish with those red eyes, stunning. And it's still not even April yet. Okay, just a little tip for you. Even if in summer and you think you're going to go through a lot of ground bait, there's no point just getting a bag of ground bait, tipping the whole lot in a bucket, or even half a bag in a bucket, and then mixing it up. So many people I see, they pour half a bag in, put too much water in, the other half a bag goes in, and they just don't get the consistency right. Fish aren't feeding that well, and at the end of the day they've just wasted a whole bag of ground bait. Just mix a little bit at a time. That's probably 1/10 of a bag of ground bait. Yeah. And another little hint is, this is hemp juice. I boiled some hemp up. Tench love it. I've got a few tiny bits of hemp in there, but I don't actually put the seeds in there because tench can come in and get preoccupied. But that is it. That's from the pan. I've frozen the hemp for another session, and just tip a little bit in at a time, not loads in. Mix it up so it's slightly damp, and then what you have to do is just leave it for 3 or 4 minutes. Let that hemp oil just absorb in, and then let it absorb, it'll dry out a little bit, add a little bit more, just little and often. And then obviously all you've got is, you know, you've got about 30 casts there, so to me that would last me, I don't know, probably the rest of the day. So yeah, don't go mixing too much ground bait. Same with your pellet. I've only mixed 1/10 of a bag up there. That'll keep me going all the time. Well, there you have it, tinker number 6. That one came on the helicopter rig. I think it's 3 tench to each rig today, so nothing's actually out fishing the other. This one's the biggest of the day so far, 6 pounds 7 ounces. So but they've all been a good stamper fish, so not a bad tinker in the middle of the day. Well, I'm going to call it a day now. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We started about, I don't know, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, so 5.5 hours fishing. We've had 6 tench, which I think on a day like today is not a bad shout, especially when we got here. It was, you know, blue sky, not a cloud in the sky, clouded over around lunchtime, but now it's gone bright again. The bank either side of us getting quite busy now with anglers, so I just think I'm quite happy with that. The biggest tench was, you know, well into the £6 mark, so can't really say the helicopter outfished the pellet cone. I think it was 3 on each rig, so another day you'd have one out fishing the other, and you'd change both to the actual going methods. So you know, I'm pleased with the effort. It's still March. The crusions haven't woken up. There's a few carp showing. The tench are nice and early, so I'll be back in a week or so. Hopefully, just not, you know, catch the odd crusion. But until now, we'll see you in the future.